Great and amazing stuff that we do right here on the Vooka Breakfast Show, brought to you by the Blinko Network. You know that you're always spending some time with me, the one and only Moocee Mist. My name is Moocee Mist, and I'm so happy to be both in your company and in your presence. Look, man, you know that we always promise that we will be bringing you great people who are doing amazing and great stuff in and around our communities, but ultimately, even in our republic as a country, the Republic of South Africa, and right now is no exception whatsoever. I'm about to jump into a great conversation, or what really promises to be an amazing conversation with, you know that I'm so wary about pronunciations of people's names, and I need to get to this one very, very right. This is Admiral Prince Tshabalala, the spokesperson of the South African National Defence Force. Am I correct, sir?
Correct.
There we go. There we go. Welcome. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and spend some time with us, so that we can get into a bit of who the SANDF is, who Admiral Tshabalala is, and your role within the Defence Force, and everything else that includes or is part of the work that the SANDF does. So thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
So before we go anywhere else, I like, as we were off camera when you got here, I was mentioning that about a month ago at the Rancho, I was in conversation with Xolani Fihla, the spokesperson of the JMPD, and where I started with him, and this is a personal thing for me because I really enjoy finding out people's authentic stories, and how you got to where you are, So let's just very quickly get into who is Admiral Tshabalala. Where are you coming from? Where were you born? And how do you find yourself now joining the SANDF and the decision behind, joining the Defence Force?
Moocee, I'm from Soweto, Dlamini. I'm actually Soweto lad.
Yes, sir.
Born and bred, and very proud Sowetan.
Yes, sir.
And we grew up in a very humble home. I'm a firstborn of the three boys.
Yes, sir.
From my mother's side, and my father's side, I'm the second born. I have to mention this because there's a story behind it.
Yes.
Look, my parents are both from Edlamin too. They were childhood lovers. But for some reason, they never got married.
Oh, wow.
So, but they had a good story going on, and I was given birth, and me and my younger brothers. At school, I've come across as a child who was gifted SKL. I'm from primary school. Apparently, if I recall, I did a 6 months grade 1. And
Bank Champies.
Yes. And I happened to be in grade 2. Then I think when I was in grade 4, in my days we were doing a standard.
Oh, yes.
Sub A, wonke sub B.
But Form 1, Form 2.
Then Standard 2, I think I was promoted. Standard 1, I was promoted to Standard 2 because I happened coincidentally to master one of the exams that were given to Standard 2s.
Oh, wow.
So the teachers said, no, let me to see which he will fit into Standard 2 class. And I passed very well. I got top 5.
Oh, wow.
So we went to higher primary school, and I was lucky once again. There was an exam that was designed for my Standard 4, and I was in Standard 3, and I happened to master that exam. Then I was promoted again. So I was lucky I got 2 promotion in 2 grades. So I find myself doing matric at the age of 14.
What?
Yes. And that, when I did my final exam, I turned, because I'm born in November, I turned 15. Then, from that time, I think when I was doing Standard 9, which is grade 11, there was an issue, political conscience started to kick in with me. When I look at the history of my family, I discovered that my uncle was an activist, but unfortunately, He didn't live long enough to tell me about politics, and it was a secrecy of the family, secret of the family, to say one of the family was an activist. And then when I heard the story later on in my life that he was hanged, one of the first prisoners to be hanged, Mahlangu,
yes,
and he was a member from Kondo Wesizwe. So as a young teenager, being from my township, we had many battles. There was infighting between comrades.
Definitely.
Black on black violence. Obvious was instigated by Third Force by then, which were allegedly policemen, and we called them Mascaris. So I happened to be recruited as part of the self-defense unit's underground activist.
Oh.
So that's where I first got to see my first gun.
So this is after matric now?
It was actually, the whole process started when I was doing grade 11, standard 9.
Yes.
Then by that time, I was doing standard 10, which is matric, by then grade 12. Then one of my friends, family members, who had issue of having access. One of the family members, they were in Robben Island.
Okay.
So he kind of had connections already in the underground structures, and they recruited me. And his dad was still apparently in Robben Island. I ended up being an underground MK operative. At
the age of 15 now.
At the age of 15
Jeez,
now.
Admiral.
And with that, which means I wasn't really a bubbly child, honestly. I was, contrary, very shy. I was not a public speaker.
Very withdrawn.
When withdrawn, I used to love my books in jail, strictly.
Yes.
I was just a guy that loves his books. I was famous for really mastering, I would say I was a good kid in school. But on my other side, I love soccer, played in Amajita, I played for Moroka, as well as young under 16.
Oh, wow.
Also played for Sinawani Kailis, Hungry Lions of Sorofi.
I've heard of Hungry Lions, yes.
And that was me. Soccer, good student, high school people, and obviously underground, an underground MK operative.
So look, you just completed your matric at the age of 15.
Yeah.
And you're doing these things and you've done well in school. You're generally, holistically, a good child.
Yes.
And you don't bring problems. There's never complaints about you.
That's right.
So now, how do your parents feel now when you are recruited into the underground for the MK?
Yeah. The first time my family didn't know anything, because even as a Kasi, they knew me as a young lad that liked soccer.
Yeah.
That's all they could master, good in school and soccer. That was my life, what they perceived to know.
Yes.
But me, this journey that I'd started to live in secrecy led me to now having contact. And immediately after school, that was way back in 1989.
Oh, wow.
And when I completed my matric in 1990, I knew there was no money at home. It was a very clear fact that my dad could not even afford to take me to a college. So destination was either I would find work, and one of the things that I thought of by then was to join the police force. Yes.
Because at the time, for black...
for black kids, we were either teacher, police, or, if you
there were limited job opportunities, yes.
And the only privy that you could get is when you have Imaligini. Then if you have that coming from a background of privilege, you could go to university. And the university was then... They were divided across the line. You either go to a black university, Abu Vista, by then, or Forte.
Yes.
So for me, it was that issue that I knew that there's no money. And if I recall very vividly, I was also a part-time artist. I'm gifted when it comes to draw.
Wow.
So what happened to me, I wrote to Vets Fine School, Fine Art School, but I think they were still at the Vet Tech. I wrote to Vet Tech, and then I got news to say, hey, look, you've been accepted in the Fine Arts to pursue a degree there. I got a bursary.
Oh, wow.
But I might have attended for 3 weeks, but, you know, coming from a humble family, I couldn't afford transport. So my bursary was just covering only tuition fees. So suddenly I just got bored. I said, you know, we are going to a train every day. I had to
use a train.
Use a train, Nakona, illegally so. I couldn't afford to buy a ticket.
To buy a ticket, yes.
Because I had to choose either I save this money for lunch or
you get a
ticket.
ticket.
So obviously,
yeah, during the day, of course, yes.
So I chose to save my money, pocket money. And I was used to also assist Tolama odd jobs, you know, gardening. So that became my life. But my more dedication with me being delusioned, not having, actually it was more of a frustration, having nothing to do, focus more on politics. I joined the ANC Youth League.
So this is simultaneously,
yes,
while you are living your secret life of being an underground operative.
Yes, I decided, look, you know, this is my other life. So having to pursue that, joined the Youth League. Youth League also recognized me. I believe one of the, just as a joke, one of my friends, I think he mispronounced something, and which was, I love history. I was more of a maths and science student. Yes. But when I was doing my matric, I decided, no, man, I'm more lean to history. Because I love history. Even today, I'm very passionate about history. I decided, look, let me dish out maths. Although I didn't struggle at all with maths.
Okay.
So I left maths. I still pursue physics. So I do
history with physics.
Added something odd that was never done in school here in high school. My high school was Ipongo High. Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, hi, something extra, and I'm going to add a subject, history. So I was one of the most, I think it's 3 guys that were doing that. And so I pursued that. And by the way, because I had so many things going on in my life,
yes,
the expectation, because I was such a good student, was that I would get matric exemption. But guess what? Came the final year, unfortunately, I had a tragedy, also a personal tragedy. Okay. My grandmother, who had adopted me when I was growing up, passed on.
Oh, wow.
When I was doing grade 11. So life became difficult. I became just a renegade, if you can put it that way.
Rebel.
A rebel, yes. Without a cause, though, by then. So having financial challenges, emotionally damaged, I had depression. My focus became more anything that was kind of destructive, but for some reason I never was attracted to crime. No, I was there as an activist underground, as a soldier from Kontwesizwe underground. I'm a hustler of some note. I'm selling things. I'm a peanuts and all that.
Yes,
Pandel. I'm just a true lad or hustler, simple life yasekas. So I find myself asking myself, but my dream is still there. My inner dream is still there. I want to be something, something really, really important.
But I'm assuming at this point you don't know what that something is.
I don't know. I'm misdirected, you know. Then there was a guy during these MK underground meetings.
Yes.
I picked up to say, hey, man, I met this commander. He had trained in Russia. There were exiles that had came. Remember when Madiba came back, exiles, those who went in exile in the 80s and 70s, started to come back home. And during my discussion with one of these comrades, he was a senior member, you know, member of MK, but we meet in the youth league structure. And then he lectured me to say, look, comrade, you are very talented. You know, you have grasp on history and that, which means you are really genuine, but I wouldn't like to see you spending your time here because even with us, we don't know the future. Then you come up. I started to spend more time with him. My interest was more militarily to say, tell me your journey. Where did you go? Where did you train? So he came, said he was trained in Russia. He started in Angola. They were sent to Angola. From Angola, he was selected as one of the instructors. He went to Russia. He trained in Russia, in the Soviet Union, in Moscow. Then he said his journey ended up in East Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then by that time, Germany had
split.
Yeah,
yes, the East and West Germany. Yes.
So he had trained in the Soviet-owned German, East German, and he told me he trained in propaganda, he trained in this.
Wow.
That got me so much interest. Then I said, look, by that time, households could not afford to have a television. So the more I spent time, the more I learned more about the military. And that really sets a perspective to be between what I was doing as an underground operator versus to a regular, formalized training.
Yes.
So the more I asked him about his training, the more I got interest to say, listen, I have to, at some stage the ANC or this structure called MK has to formalize because I'm more interested in becoming a soldier now. And that's where I started to aggravate to be more. But I also had a dream to become a policeman, that longing because I hated crime.
Oh, yes.
My cousins were thugs, serious thugs. They were gangsters, actually. So I said to myself, I cannot become my cousin. So I have to have something good in me, maybe a combination of both the military and Ubupoisa.
Yes.
God knows what I wanted. So, and that time, it was 1992. Being a member now, fully fledged member of the ANC Youth League, they called me. They said, look, ANC had now its headquarters in called Shell House. So in town, they call us to say, hey, comrades, we've been selected now. You are one of the groups that will go and do regular training.
Yes.
In preparation of the new National Defense Force.
Oh.
And you young people have been selected selectively because the comrades that are coming back, they are going to integrate, but we foresee a problem that they will be old.
The ones that are coming from exile.
Yes.
I see.
So they say, no, rather we select you and we've been part of those, we'll be part of those people.
So because what it's sparking for me, was military conscription not a thing? Or was it for the white young boys?
Yeah. Remember that time,
yes.
The conscription had not ended by 89, 80, or 1990.
Yes.
The white people were still doing national conscription when they turned 16.
Yes.
As soon as they finished high school, it was
you are conscripted to the military. Yes.
Only select few, those who come from privileged home, could go to university and do their studies. But even then, on completion of their degree, they had to do national service.
At least a minimum of 2 years.
Exactly.
Yes.
So in our case, we had no such. But there were elements that had, 21 battalion here in Lenasia, in Lens, had already been established. It was one of the first SANDF unit that started now to recruit blacks from 85, I believe, 86, to join that ranks, and they'd established a fully fledged black or African battalion that would be fighting our comrade and the Umkhonto Sis and APLA, all those liberation forces. So from that, one of my friends, you remember, I had met this guy from Robben Island. We had family who came from Robben Island. They lectured me to say, comrade, you cannot join these ones. You must focus and join our liberator, which is the ANC, Umkhonto Sis. And then I was attracted to that, and I was schooled. I was given books. I started to learn more books, Freedom Charter. I learned so much that the comrades that were training me, they decided that I had enough information to even appoint me as a political education officer of the ANC Youth League Dlamini branch. So from given this portfolio, that means that really I knew Mkhabulo very well.
Chief, you are making the strides at this point. Yeah.
To say, no, this comrade, and obviously the advantage was that I love history. So when comrade were misdirected,
you are able to align them.
Align them to say, no, but Stalin never said this.
Yes.
You know, Lenin
went Stalinism, Leninism.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So I could took those revolutionary theories very well and explain them in a simple context.
Oh, wow.
So from then, remember that call I had in Shell House that they came the time. We were the first batch of the recruits that were sent to Uganda.
Oh, wow.
So I'm Ugandan trained as well.
So this is where now
your
formal training
my formal train proper again now.
In the Defense Force starts.
The Defense Force starts.
Oh, wow.
So the transition between Umkhonto we Sizwe Liberation Army from a guerrilla movement to now a formal regular was now being formalized.
Yes.
So they had to ask other countries to assist them to say, hey, we are going to, because there were a lot of talks behind the scenes to say how the new army would look. They don't want the oppressive army. They specifically wanted a national defense force of the people. By the people. Because
now it's coming to a time, if memory serves well from what I've also read, early 90s, just before 94, this is when now the talks before talks are happening.
Yes.
Right?
About Kodesa 1.
Yes, Kodesa 1. Yes. So now it's also approaching the time of transition.
Exactly.
From the National Party now
to a national transitional council.
Yes, relinquishing power.
Yes. Yeah, but slowly.
Yes, definitely.
But they never dissolved their army. The military was still structured. So in line with that, the ANC, I'm not supposed to speak politics.
No worries. No, we don't. Yes, but
my ex-political party decided I'll be destined for the military journey.
I see.
So that's where I ended up now being in Uganda.
Uganda, yes.
We are trained as a regular force, not guerrillas.
Yes.
Now regular army that will integrate in the new army that will create. But when we left the country in 94, they never told us when we were coming back, because there were still talks and talks.
Yes.
And Madiba was very clear. He was out to say, my army must be able to defend the people of South Africa. They must represent the people. But he demanded maximum discipline from us. So when we were trained, not only us in Uganda, there were guys that were trained in Zimbabwe, others went to India, others went to Tanzania.
You guys were completely split up.
But this group was a very specialized group. Very specialized, because we were the first one to train regular. And as they were embarking in this journey of training, when I was in Uganda, Ugandans is a landlocked country. But there was one incident that sparked my eye. We were in town on a pass, and I happened to spot this white officer who was dressed in all white.
Okay.
Hey,
I see.
That left a very indelible mark in my mind, and said to myself, hey, who are these?
I want to find out who this
Then there was
is.
an uncle in the camp who was my commissar.
Yes.
He said, no, Mfana, because I was youngest as well in the camps, having a 14-year, 15-year-old there.
Yes.
By that time, then the uncle said to me, you know what you saw? He's a military officer. He was from Britain, British Navy officer. He said, that guy is here to advise the Ugandan People's Defense Force on aspect of the military. He represents Britain. So he's a naval officer. Oh, naval officer. What do they do, uncle? Uncle started to lecture me. These people are driving warships. They are there at sea. They travel and they fight at sea. I said, no, man. Uncle, we are not serious. What about the sharks? And remember, I'm from Ekasi, Edlamin 2. We don't even have a swimming pool. The only swimming pool that I have seen. And I was very, very, I won't lie to you. I didn't even attempt to swim, even if you can put me in a swimming pool. And so we used to go to a pier, you know,
I know pier swimming pool.
There's a swimming pool.
Yes.
There. So we used to go there, but you know, it would be a muddy situation there when you enter there. And I used to go for the shallow swimming pool, not the deep one.
Yes.
So for me, swimming was never really a thing, part of my life that I end up there. But with Uncle now lecturing me, giving me this lecture, and he said, these officers, they are trained at sea, they are big, they are gentlemen, and you know, their training is well, more advanced.
Yeah, man.
That's how he portrayed it. And then I said, okay, fine. I think by that time, a movie came out.
Okay.
Under Siege, if I recall, I think it was called Under Siege by Steven Seagal.
Oh, yes, Under Siege. I see Under Siege.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that movie.
Yeah.
Then now that sparked my mind to say, no, Maganjani, I'm definitely
I need to get there.
Hooked there.
Yeah.
But this is a secret. Remember, I have comrades here. I don't want to tell them my inquisitiveness about the Navy. I'm keeping this a secret. So when they say, hey, we are going to come back home in the barracks, the only thing that when we were in exile in Uganda, we were thinking about coming back home. We were not really thinking about how the military works. Saying, all we saw ourselves wearing uniform, regular uniform, and by the way, with high ranks. We never knew that, hey, by the way, you have to have baby's levels too.
Yeah.
You know, you have to get training for each and every level that you have. Hey, guess what? Suddenly an announcement is made that we are returning home. That's 1994. Remember, I left 92.
So you guys were gone for 2 years now.
Yeah.
I see.
Suddenly they say, hey, there's peace and transition. We are coming back. And that was when, after Comrade Chris and just got killed.
Oh, yes.
So the transition is accelerated. They said, no, you people must come back home. We were flown. And then I just want to also dispel the lie that some comrades, I had some of my comrades that were with me in Uganda claiming that we went through exile. Flyer. We were flown.
Yes,
proper.
Yes.
The ANC hired a chartered flight and we came back with a chartered flight. So we first came. Initially, we were going to be part of the National Peacekeeping Force through that transitional government that had.
Yes.
But unfortunately, my group came late. I think the NPAKF by then only lasted for 3 months and it was dissolved.
Oh, wow.
So bad luck. When I came back in Bloemfontein at Debrecht, they said, and we are going to Pretoria, in Valmansdal Assembly area.
Okay.
Nevertheless, we were given a pass. 3 weeks. I saw my family after an absence of 2 years.
Yeah.
My mom, you know, I had siblings now. Suddenly.
I mean, you're coming back. Yes. You are a regular officer now.
Yeah, but I'm not an officer. I want to correct that.
Oh.
I'm not even the officer level. I'm trained though.
Okay.
Regular. When we came back, you know, based on our level of training, they realized that maybe during the assembly area now, we are now back home. There was a British Military Advisory Council that had to determine now with the integration, your level of appointment. So when I went there, you know, my dream of the Navy also came back.
Still lingering.
Still lingering.
Yes.
Came back suddenly. But then I also met some groups that wanted to be pilots. Remember, by then, the South African National Defence Force, or the SANDF by then, could recruit you from grade 11, grade 10.
Oh.
Yes, by then. So when I came back, then I said, look, no, man, I did my matric and I did pass, although I didn't get my exemption, remember, of the distraction.
Yes.
But when I came to the Navy, they said, no, you did some bit of maths, you know. Physics, I had passed very well. Generally, it's just that I didn't pass exceptionally well the way
you could have, because I mean, like you mentioned, you had distractions. Yes.
Then they said no, we will meet our selection criteria.
Yes.
On the other hand, the Air Force also wanted me. As far as the Army side of recruitment, then I said But now my friends were queuing in that queue of the army to be processed, validated in terms of qualification.
Oh, wow.
And the suitability. There was suitability boards.
Oh. So it wasn't just a matter of
I know integration. Integration. They had to. The Navy would select its candidate. The Air Force would select its candidate. The Army. The rest, bulk obvious was the Army.
Yes.
So for me, I said, no, it's my chance to escape. I'm only going to queue for the Air Force. But the Navy administrative process was so quick. It took only a week. Whereas others took so long, and then I said, obviously, I'm a naval member.
Yes.
Then I left, and we were sent to Saldanha Bay in the West Coast.
Yes.
First time I see the ocean.
Wow.
I remember I'm from here.
You're from Soweto.
The only water I've seen by then, in Vooka, the swimming pool. Oh, well, maybe one day, yes. That is my only perspective. Now we are arriving in Saldanha. I'm so excited. Navy. But clean.
It's nice, man.
Dust is nice.
Yeah.
Breakfast. Breakfast. Bacon. It is a matter in Djibouti. I'm so excited. So honestly, my basic training, because I was a fitness fanatic anyway, so I didn't have any challenges. So smooth sailing, 6 months. I'm there since April. We are finishing in December. I enjoyed my stay.
In Saldanha.
My academic excellence comes back suddenly. Man. I'm shining there. And officers do identify me to say, look, Tshabalala is a special person. Would like to consider him for officers. They write there in my report, but they never inform me officially because they would test me, when we're doing basic military training. You remember I've done the military training of the army, but guerrilla mixed with the Ugandan People's Defense Force.
Yes.
So we are experienced militarily. We know what is expected of us.
This is now on the ground.
Now we are part of the new National Defense Force, the new South African National Defense Force, the one of the people. The Constitution, we have voted, everybody.
This is of the new South Africa now.
Madiba is the president.
Yes, sir.
Now the Navy was the first one to, because the white people were still wary to say, hey, these ex-guerrillas, we don't know.
Trouble here.
Yeah. And the Navy was exclusively for white people.
Oh, wow.
And especially English. English, they would divert them. And sons and daughters of the officers, well-known generals, would send their kids instead of sending them to the border war. So they used to hide their children. The privileged class would go to the Navy. And for the first time, the Navy had to open this limited space for black people. Coloreds were already recruited. Indians, they had already opened up from 1988. They started to multiracial Navy. And it was an example that, we can live side by side, serve side by side. But they have never tested the Africans.
Black people, yes.
When I look at the history, there were some Africans that were recruited in 1992 as a test. But those guys were never given an opportunity to sail and to be on board the warships and vessels. They were only limited to be HR and human resource. While bulk of them ended up being gate guards.
Oh, wow.
Yes, after basic training of the Navy.
Yes.
So here I am, ex-guerrilla. And when we asked it, they said we can be anything.
So are they aware, though, of your background?
No, they are aware. We are 246 of us integrators.
Sheesh, man.
And every day, our instructors are wary of us. Most of them thought that we are illiterate, I must confess. So we had even interpreters.
Coming to have to the language barriers.
Look, the 1992 intake, some of these guys were recruited to say, no, man, sit here, you are going to assist us when these new guerrillas are coming in.
Yeah, because abasazi slow, they don't know how to speak
Yeah, they
English.
don't know. No, ay, laba.
Or yele kani prat ni.
Jele kani pratni
Yeah.
and isilungu English ayikho lana. Hey, when they don't know what it is, some of us were masters of Stalinism and Leninism, you know, the revolutionary Marxism, yes. You know, we
You
can
studied up
lecture.
on all of these things. Yeah.
In theory.
Yes.
Siyazi. Now, they were coming with this perception. People have a lot of perception about us. And we are the first test group, remember. Madiba, everybody has these little tensions to say, will this multiracial
Will they be able to do things?
work side by side?
Yeah.
And particularly now in the armed forces. Remember, armed forces was the center of the power of apartheid.
Yes, yes.
The power and the center of gravity of the apartheid was the military.
Because they were the ones on the ground who were enforcing. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, sir.
So now suddenly their military is taking its shape, particularly the privileged Navy for Lily White, suddenly turning multicolored, multiracial. It is now a mixed masala.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
And with a guerrilla background, Chief.
Guerrilla
You guys are radicalized, basically.
Mamela, those people, when they addressed us, they were always caution about us. But I think after 4 months in Saldanha doing training, they started to ease up to say, hey, these people they have advanced skills. And academically, hey, they are superior.
Yeah.
And physically, we were fit. Remember in Uganda, we used to train every day. So fitness is never one thing. Till now, we wanted to come back to South Africa to fight.
Basically.
Yithi nje labo to liberate our people.
Yes.
So fitness was never questionable to us. When you tell us to walk, we run. When you tell us to walk, we would fly.
Yeah.
So that is the modus operandi. The only limitation was that we didn't know how to swim. There were not many strong swimmers
amongst you guys.
Now, for the first time, I learned how to swim. The Navy really took its time to teach me the love of the sea, become ingrained in my mind. I see myself basically, you know, having true Navy, true blue blood. So the ocean smell to me, it's amenable, I accept. Yeah, the ocean life in J, this is my future.
Ah, man.
Oh, Mom, I love the uniform. Hey, Abantwana, the ladies, they love this uniform. It's lily white. Hey, no, Siashina, we are there. Flat stomach.
I love it. You guys are fit and proper and lean and cut, man.
Then they gave us a break, eh?
Yes, sir.
To come back home for 1 week.
Yeah.
I decided, hey, listen, I'm wearing my uniform.
Yeah.
You know, I thought there was you remember I told you there's a base here in Lenasia.
Yes.
I decided to fall sick, man, which is so that I have
When
an
he's a
excuse.
guy, yeah.
Wearing this
Your
uniform to show my cheetah. You know, when I was working, and I made sure which I'm well training, you know, I go to lands via a train so that everybody from
Will
Lake
see you,
Aslami,
Chief.
from Dlamini to Kliptown, they all see me. And now the uniform is unique. It's strange. Babonu nurse, abanye bathi nurse.
I can't. I can see it.
You know,
man.
was nalabantwana bengibafuna ngibagwaja those ladies.
Sebayakubona manje.
These cherries bayakhunta now.
Yeah.
Yellow bone nami nginuka amanzi.
Yeah.
Aya, ocean and all. Navy is very clean, Baba.
Yeah.
That uniform.
I mean, the rules there of cleanliness and keeping your space very clean.
Man,
yes, sir.
Man. The walk, the talk.
Yeah.
You know, it's professional.
You have to carry yourself.
Six-pack is there. I'm flat. I'm a model like.
Yeah.
Yeah, an example. Now, you know, according to my mom, there were so many delegations and letters thrown in my yard because now, you know, Tshabalala, Samfuna.
Man. I can imagine coming back home, the pride of the family.
The pride of the family
is
there, you know. Then when I left, sure. And that was my beginning of my journey.
Oh, wow.
Then the following year, we had to choose after the completion of 6 months basic training.
Yes.
Then they decide to choose to say, now, look, guys, you have to choose a specialization. What do you want to be? So the first specialization I trained for was communication intelligence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dealing with stuff of tactical communication, which is mainly using of
Radios,
flags.
Yes.
You know, and that was another 6 months training. And I've completed that. But before I said, they told us about deployments now. And I was identified to have gone to Alexander Bay.
Okay.
Then I said, geez, that is far. Remember, I'd gone 2 years without seeing my family.
Yes.
Now there's this, I think one of the greatest concern was that I was going to be far again. It felt like I'm going back to exile. So I decided to come up with a plan that I said, I heard from one of my friends to say there's an opening. They're looking for more naval military police. Then I said, wow, what's a possibility?
Being an MP.
Yes.
Yeah.
I joined them.
Really?
I joined them from there in 95. Hey, being an MP was great. They started with driving. Remember, Mineka Sangazi Ngabin license.
Yes. Oh, man.
So they are exposing me to driving off the bikes. In fact, as we came here to Soweto to this interview, we were escorted actually.
With the bikes and everything.
We heard this siren.
Yes.
So I was part of those guys.
Yeah.
And I was exposed to military police. By the way, I love police work.
I'm sure this is also stemmed from the love. I was about to say, from wanting to join the SAPS. You know, from a young age,
kicks in now. My policeman instincts kicks in. It's me.
Yes.
That's me. I'm finding myself naval police. Enforcing. Remember now, we have to discipline of the discipline.
Yes.
We have to discipline soldiers.
You are disciplining people who are enforcing the law in the country.
Exactly.
Yes. Or who are meant rather to defend the country in times of distress.
Yes. Soldiers are disciplined by nature,
but now you have to discipline the discipliners.
The discipliners. We become the mighty force. I am there with them for 7 years.
Wow. So this is from 95 all the way to 2000. 2000, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm there with them. And there I rose up in ranks, getting accolades. I never lost a case. Very strict and disciplined. Disciplinarian. And I rose through becoming, in the army we say it's a lance corporal. But it's a non-commissioned officer. I'm not commissioned yet.
Okay.
So I rose through the ranks, lance corporal, eventually full corporal.
Oh, nice.
Which is leading seamen. Then I went for another training of leadership within non-commissioned ranks. I did my leadership course in Saldanha, junior leader, then become a petty officer. But the system, they don't promote you instantly.
Okay.
Then we discovered during the year 2000 to say, no, you people, 246, some of you were recommended to become officers.
Really?
But the truth comes very late.
Years later.
It was through one of our people who were dissatisfied with the service conditions, because I didn't know that some of my comrades were fighting this thing behind. They seem to say, some of the comrades were very senior in exile. They were instructors, they were officers. So when that dispensation started to take place, then they opened my file, starting from the years or when I was in MK.
Yes.
To say, man.
Chief, you had been recommended over the years.
When the MK recommended that you should have come here to do officer's course, not the basic training. Yeah, they are mentioning sub-lieutenant here in the Navy rank. Officer rank. So we are selected, we are about 100 of us, to say, you people were supposed to be in leadership by now. What do we do now? Then they said, no, they have to create a course. They now establish a course specialized for us now, which is an Navy officers specialized course for
all of you who were supposed to have gotten recommendations at the time. I see, yes.
So the Navy went through another transformation process within the transformation process.
Oh, wow.
So I was part of that group of 100 officers who were identified now to be part of the new leadership group, because the old Navy had suppress us
Yes.
by not recognizing our previous ranks.
Yes. So what is your ranking at this time? I mean, you
Now,
have done like what, 5
yeah.
to 7 years
Yes.
as an MP, right?
As an MP, but
Yes.
a non-commissioned officer.
Yes.
I go back now to do officer's course.
Okay.
That means another 6 months at Naval College, Gordons Bay.
And your ranking at this time? You're just
Remember
an MP.
Yes.
And non-commissioned though.
Yeah,
I see.
non-commissioned, but now in the rank of a sergeant, which is in the Navy rank structure, is called paid officer.
Oh.
So I'm looking at this. Then they said, okay, now you're on officer's course. I'm enjoying my officer's course. I'm still fit.
In the 6 months?
In the 6 months.
Yes, sir.
Guess what? I won the fitness. I've become the fittest officer cadet. And I also win the academy. A trophy that was there. Well, I still have this energy. Can't believe it. By that time, the compensation now, remember, I was supposed to come as a sub-lieutenant.
Yes.
When they look at the 7 years that I had stayed as a non-commissioned,
As an MP, non-commissioned,
they said,
yes.
no. Now the issue of negotiation started to kick in to say, if you guys had done the right thing, by this time I was supposed to be a major or a lieutenant commander rank. Hey, they said, yo, do you know, now the Navy is coming back to say, yeah, but for you to become a senior officer like that, you have to do this course, almost about 4 courses.
Oh.
And the duration will take about 4 years to complete.
Oh. So it's a year for each course, basically.
Yeah, for each course.
Oh.
They said, the compromise, we can wear the rank, but you won't be paid accordingly.
Oh.
You'll have to.
I mean, you'll have the ranking, but still you would have to go through the course.
All the courses.
Yes.
So that you are on par with your colleagues
Oh.
that are already on this rank.
Yes.
And who are these colleagues? They are white officers.
So many speed bumps that you guys are being given, you guys are experiencing. all of
We
these
went
things.
through. I know, we know determination tells a lot.
We do the 4 years.
We do the 4 years. Eventually, we get to be now, instead of now a temporary rank, it gets to be now a permanent
Permanent,
rank.
fully
We
recognized.
recognize we're getting paid for it.
Yes.
So we enjoyed that pain. We went on courses. We completed the courses.
So you're on par with your white
We are
counterparts.
On par now. We are serving on board the ships. But then, I think it was through grace of God. I remember. Do you remember during my past 7 years, I was an MP? Then the guys, they said, look, when the whole issue of about how do we, and then I decided, look, I won a bursary actually in 97. And I studied communication,
Yes.
PR, and that was through Allenby Home College. It was a long-distance college. So I had to study public relations and journalism and communications. With that course, it helped me a lot because on completion of officer's course, then another recommendation, I decided that my time as an MP is over. I have to transition now to be a public relations officer in the Navy. So that's when I left. And when I completed my officer's course, I did my internship as a public relations officer for the next 4 years. And in 2004, I was appointed as the first black officer to be the spokesperson of the Navy.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I see. So that's where it starts now.
So that's
now
where my journey of communication starts.
begins. And this is how we find ourselves where we are now. But of course,
and
over
I rose through the ranks.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
I see. Very interesting story. And like I told you when we started, Admiral, that I enjoy people's stories, you know, because there's a whole lot that we barely ever find out about, individuals, whether in SAPS or in JMPD or in the SANDF, you know, all of the things that you went through, the experiences that you went through.
What it matters for me is that I represent Ikasi and I'm a blue-blooded Sowetan.
Yes.
And my journey was not an easy one. And that for me serves as an inspiration to the youth ukuthi if you have patience and perseverance, you can achieve. As long as a discipline and God mix, in a success, because the issue of discipline comes with patience. You know when to fight and how to fight, and control. Control is very important for me, because that's well defined. How do you argue constructively? How do you fight for yourself but remaining intact in your values as a disciplined soldier? So hence, maybe if you look at my journey from transition from military police, now finding myself as a public relations communication. Even communication, it needs a certain responsibility. The way we communicate to our public, the way you respect their values. And remember, we are explaining a new world to the public domain that is perceived of managing violence. We are the enforcers. People get scared when they see soldiers, which shouldn't be. We are the defenders of the Constitution. We are the one that we are like an insurance of the nation. If South Africa gets attacked or be invaded by a foreign country or any people of foreign origin, even we assist the police as well.
You guys are at the front line.
We are in the front line.
Yeah.
When the police have failed in their duties, we are
you
the
guys
last
come
line. We are the last line of defense. You saw us in COVID, during COVID.
I was about to ask, actually, because, Admiral, there's a whole lot of stuff that came with COVID. We had a conversation about it here in studio, that COVID, or those 2 years, 2020 and 2021, really taught us a whole lot about individually ourselves and our communities, our families, and just a whole lot, right? I remember the president said that when you see the SANDF driving around and there's visibility in our communities, we need not be scared as individuals in society or in our communities or whatsoever, right? But like you mentioned, there was a whole lot of fear when there would be visibility, right? And there was so much misconception and miseducation on social media platforms, on TV.
SANDF,
absolutely,
the role of a soldier in a state.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? I mean, I remember there was a post. A police officer was like, there was a whole lot of scop and donor. That was going on.
Look, let's define our role.
Yes, sir.
We should start. The role of a soldier in a democratic state like South Africa is defined within the Constitution. Section 200 is very explicit to say what kind of military does South Africa must have. What kind of military, what kind of posture of the military should be deployed within the society, and it's explicit, the how, the when, and the way we carry ourselves with a code of conduct that we have to abide to, those rules. And let me rather say, the constitutionality of the Constitution of South Africa is so intact, so powerful in terms of it's very explicit how things should run.
Should be done, absolutely.
The order, the role of the police, the role of a soldier in a democratic state like ours is well defined. So let me simply say, our mandate and our duties is derived from the Constitution. We are there to safeguard the borders. We are there to support the South African police. We are there to ensure that the sovereignty of the country in terms of its architect, nobody would invade us via the sea. Our skies are protected. Nobody would
even on land.
Just cross the border and invade it. But South Africa is a very unique country, surrounded by maritime borders. We have land borders. We have porous borders.
Yes.
It's generally accepted that we have porous borders.
Yes.
That's why we find everyone, and we are rich. We're a rich nation.
You reckon?
Listen, we're a rich nation. Full of gold, opportunities, enterprise. You know, we're striving, we are structure. We live according to the democratic values. We are not in a shamble, anarchic state. You know, it gives me to this thing of the role of a soldier in a peacetime role, like South Africa. Remember the National Defence Force or the pre-defence force of the then apartheid, pre-94, was there a oppressive force that was destined to oppress the African people in particular.
Enforce the ideals of the National Party.
Here you are in a democratic state. You are not enforcing anyone's political agenda. You are just enforcing the values of the Constitution, which is loyalty, patriotism, respect, human rights. Now I'm zooming into the argument that you put forward.
Yes.
Now, with all these clear mandates, one of the first mandates is to assist the state during the times of disaster.
Of distress, yes.
Now, remember, COVID was well defined as a disaster. We were living in a state of national disaster.
Yes, sir.
In other words, what we used to call in the olden era state of
emergency.
Yes,
yes, sir.
We obviously,
I mean, the term comes with a whole lot of connotations and denotations from the past.
From the past,
but it is clearly a state of emergency. Absolutely.
But we call it a state of national disaster.
Yes.
It's not me that coined that phrase. It was the politician.
Yes, sir.
Now, here we have SANDF being given a task by who?
The Commander-in-Chief.
The Commander-in-Chief.
Yes, sir.
The number one citizen of this country is giving us to say you are to support the South African police.
The policing service.
In enforcing regulations, which are not drafted by us. We also have to abide by those laws because I'm a citizen, I'm also a soldier.
Yes.
Dual purpose.
Absolutely.
Now, in our role during the national disaster, that is why you never see us in front. It was the police that would say, hey, stop what you are doing, wear your mask. And when you fail to do that, because you guys might be outnumbering the police.
Absolutely.
By far.
Absolutely.
Then the enforcement based on our training. But later on, we reflected as SANDF to say, you know, such rules are difficult because we are not there. We are trained to manage power.
Far more strenuous issues.
We are trained to exert force.
Yeah.
We don't have power of arrest. We don't have power of arrest. So that's why you would find that some soldiers, not all of us, when they were assisting the police, they came with innovative punishments, such as
scope and honor.
Not really. Let me rather put it this way. You saw people being made to exercise.
Oh yes.
We saw people then. But one of the most definite roles, when the police failed to restore law and order, you saw our role when we brought law and order back during the mutiny of associated with the incarceration of the former president.
Yes, 2021 July, the looting.
Then the looting took place.
Yes.
Who was there to stop?
You guys were the ones who brought order.
When the police failed, in a harsh manner, but rather
they were outnumbered. Yes.
We were there to bring stability to support.
Law and order, Chief. Yes, sir.
We're the last man standing. It was us.
Yes, definitely.
That is the role of a soldier in a peaceful, democratic state.
I see.
But our role is not limited to that. Our role goes beyond that, Chief. Our role is also protection on the borders. Our role is to also support government diplomatic initiative. How that role is played out. A government is trying to instill peace in a certain country that has gone into a state of chaos.
Yes.
An example of that is Democratic Republic of Congo. An example of that is Burundi,
Yes.
which is now is thriving in its democracy.
Oh, wow.
Remember, even Rwanda
Yes.
also came from that chaotic moment of 1994 genocide. Our government determines in terms of its, because there are many tools in the diplomatic policies, and one of its tools is the military. We also play a diplomatic role. What we are doing as we call it peacekeeping, peace enforcement, because it's stages of diplomacy. You'll have peacekeeping where we come and show our presence and force amongst the belligerents, those two parties that are fighting each other. Then you'll get us coming now to create stability, to say, hey guys, stop. But we are always under an ambit of an international sanction organization. First is the United Nations will give us a mandate to do that in line with the member states. So South Africa is a member state of the United Nations. So United Nations has a Security Council. It's got a standing virtual army which is mobilized through a nation member state. With that in place, as a member of the United Nations, when the Secretary General of the United Nations calls for deployment of troops, he would send a memo to all member countries, including USA, UK, and all the big five, and us to say, I'm calling members of the United Nations to contribute troops so that I'm able as a Secretary General to enforce peace in a particular country X.
Oh, wow.
That's where now there's other organization that operates within the ambit of the United Nations to support the United Nations resolution. We have Organization of African Union, AU. We have now the SADC.
Yes.
Southern African Development Countries.
Yes.
Countries of the South.
Yes.
Also forming a strategic pact. Countries have grouped each other to its regional influences into regional blocks. Right? Now, SADC then decide, hey, first South Africa were the first one to enter into Burundi when Burundi was in a chaotic state, in a state of war.
Really?
When belligerents were fighting, there's genocide as well. We were there to enter. South Africa, through its military diplomacy, succeeded. It took us 10 years.
But you were able to succeed.
Eventually, the culmination and the dialogue. And Utata, our founding father of the nation, President Mandela, was leading us.
Really?
And he started, then when we completed that work, we were now in demand suddenly.
Hey guys, we need you all over the place.
When Congo became unstable with Kabila, the father of Laurent Kabila.
Yes.
Laurent Kabila Sr. took over the government of Mobutu Sese Seko, who was a dictator for many years in DRC. That negotiation happened on board the Navy vessel. It's called SS Otenikwa. Some of us were the crew members of that vessel.
Come on, man.
So we did great diplomacy, because why great diplomacy? The naval vessels are painted gray. So we stationed and went up east. These two leaders that were wearing parties were flown in, and the negotiation happened there, orchestrated by Utata himself.
Wow. So, it sounds like the role of the SANDF is not as black and white.
That is where people must read our constitution. Our role is well defined. We have an external mandate and duties as well as the external, which is first to support the government
in
programs,
diplomacy.
in diplomacy. It's not up to a soldier to decide where we want to deploy.
So what if now you are deployed as Admiral Tshabalala and you are in the low ranks, or you
I would be like my comrades that are currently in DRC.
But then it goes
serving.
It goes against your personal views and perspectives.
This is where we are saying the South African National Defence Force is we join voluntarily. There's no longer national conscription.
Yes.
There's no mandatory military service that you are required to do when you turn
16 or 18, yes, sir.
18. Ours is voluntarily. You are to join us, you fill the form, if you serve your contract, or you can resign anytime. You don't have to even finish your contract.
So once I'm in, now there's no saying I can't go where I don't want to.
If you feel that, listen, orders are contrary to my own personal belief.
Yes.
You give us a 1-month notice, you can resign from the National Defence Force.
I see you. You mentioned something very interesting. We were talking about it this morning, as the team here. Maritime.
Yeah.
Because today is, I think, International Maritime Holiday that is celebrated on the 22nd of May.
Yes.
So it says here the term maritime refers to anything related to the sea, ocean, and navigation. It encompasses various sectors and activities, including shipping, marine engineering, naval operations, and environmental conservation. The maritime industry is essential to the global economy, involving ships, ports, and companies engaged in marine activities. So is that what you guys are?
Why I love that definition?
Yes, sir.
It said naval operation. I'm a Navy officer.
You're a Navy officer.
I understand the term very well.
Yes, sir.
Let me define naval operations as this. It's patrolling of our sovereignty and maritime zones, which is maritime borders, in another words. Simple say, maritime borders. South Africa is an island economy. What do you mean about that?
Island economy.
Yes, we are an island economy. Because we are in the tip of the continent.
Oh, yes.
We are surrounded by the oceans.
2 oceans, yes.
Yes, meaning we have the Pacific, Indian.
And the Indian.
All combined.
Yes.
Now, with this, it makes us as very strategic. If you are to travel to India, we have to pass through our shores.
Yes.
And hence, your Jan van Riebeck, they were trading in the Asian economy, remember?
Yes.
But that's how accidentally they found themselves having to have a refreshment and establish a refreshment station
in South Africa.
Because ships have to be loaded with fresh foods for your crew to survive, to go and trade. Your cargo have to be fresh all the time. And so the journey to the east has to pass through our south.
Oh, wow.
So as a maritime nation, South Africa, during Second World War, it was decided that it will have maritime zones, and that zone was demarcated into zones.
Oh.
So we are in Area 3 in the maritime zone, a very strategic tip point, because when you close Suez Canal, you are forcing all the shipping traffic to come
through here, yes.
to come through us.
Yeah, wow.
So that makes us a very important country.
Oh, wow.
Because that means the island economy we ship, we are the strategic lines of shipping. Now we are also owning an island, by the way. Prince Edward and Marion Island belong to South Africa.
Yes.
It was annexed by a Navy captain, a person like myself.
Yes.
On behalf of South Africa, we annexed that way back in 1940-something during the Second World War. And those islands are so strategic that they have a rare fish, the Pentagonian fish,
oh, wow.
a marine resource of high value in the market in Asia. And that's why now we have to protect our resources both on land, which is gold and diamonds and that, as well as our marine resources at sea.
On sea.
There's protected species there. All what belong there within the 3,000 nautical mile zone is a South African property.
Wow.
Anything you find there belong to South Africa.
Wow.
Hence, South Africa must maintain a navy to safeguard its
All of these
national
things.
interest, to safeguard our maritime interest. That's what makes us unique.
Very interesting. I mean, these are the things that even at a primary or high school level, we're not taught about. You know, even when I remember in high school, when we would have, what do they call those days? Career days.
Career days.
Career
yes.
days.
Yeah.
And all these different entities, both governmental and
in the
private.
next few coming weeks, I'll be bringing submariners.
Oh, man.
I will be bringing combat officers that drive ships.
Yes, sir.
I myself spent my 20 years of my career at sea traveling with all naval war vessels. From China, I've been to 13 countries. I'm a true-blooded sea lion, member of the ocean. So it is important in that context to understand that it is a journey that I enjoyed very much.
Sheesh,
so being a naval officer now, a spokesperson of the South African National Defence Force, that means, but my heart still lies in the Navy.
In the sea.
But what was an experience for me is to see how the Navy projects itself. It's a very expensive, you know, they say the Navy carries everything expensive. The value of a warship versus a tank
is different. The disparity
is huge.
Yeah, man.
You know, it takes 3 years to build a ship, and without its system, weapon system.
Just the structure.
Just structure, what we call the hull. Once that is completed, it has to be fitted with the systems, and it will take about a further 2 years to make sure that this system works, is integrated within the hull, and the familiarization of the crew.
Yes.
It will take a minimum of about another 3 years
Sheesh.
to qualify the crew to manage to navigate and skip this ship.
That's almost 10 years.
Actually, to become a combat officer, you can complete it in 3 years. But for you to become a Navy captain, a captain of a ship, a warship for that matter, it's minimum 10 years of experience. It's not like a pilot. I can train you to become a pilot in a year, then you can fly.
I can fly, yeah.
But not with the Navy. Anyeke.
So let's, you know,
have to go to school.
I find this very interesting. Says your military branches that South Africa has is, of course, the South African National Defence Force. The South African Army includes the Reserve Force, right?
Yeah.
There is the South African Navy.
Yes.
And then there's the South African Air Force.
Yes.
And then, of course, last but not least, the South African Military Health Services.
About the hotel.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the differentiation now.
Yeah.
Because like I mentioned that about a month ago when we were at the Rancho, we were in conversation with Uxolani Fihla, right, the spokesperson of the JMPT.
Yes.
And I asked him if they, as a policing service or a policing forum, do they work in silos? Are they excluded and on their own and they do their own thing? Or do they work in connectivity with
the
SAPS,
police,
yes, or with the EPD, you know, and all of those things? Does it apply with you guys as the SANDF?
No,
or
with us, it's
do
an
you guys also
integrated system. Let me explain this. Rightfully so, you have mentioned all these services.
Yes, sir.
We have the land forces.
Yes, sir.
The Air Force, the Navy. Myself, I belong to the Navy.
To the Navy, yes, sir.
Then we have the military health services.
Yes.
About doctor and that. This system, is embedded throughout. We have our own hospitals.
Yes.
When I get sick now, you can't take me to Bar. I know. Soldiers will have to make means to make sure that I'm in the one military hospital.
Oh, wow.
Or in the nearest base, they will stabilize me, because there's always doctors and nurses 24 hours in any military base in South Africa. On
the go, yes.
All right? Now, these are the people that saves our lives, whether in battle, because they are soldiers themselves.
Yes.
In battle, when we're training, we are a parapet, for example. There will be a doctor next to me who's also a parapet.
So what is parapet?
Parapet is a soldier that is parachute.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm just making
an example. Yes, I see.
If I was a parapet.
Yes.
If I'm a Navy, there will be a military health service doctor that is able to serve on board the ships to tender my medical needs.
Wow.
So in all our ships, we will have a medical doctor and nurses. We are even able to do minor operations such as before we are flown by an Air Force pilot flying a helicopter, Oryx or Lynx type, to the next destination. It can be a civilian hospital for stabilization purposes. Then they move to a military hospital. We operate as an integrated system. The army, whilst it's fighting, they may read to say, hey, they've reached a point where by now we need support of the Marine. We are now hitting a beach coastal town.
Yes.
We need Marines to come, because these ones, they are able to fight both on land and at sea.
And sea, yes, sir.
So that's where some elements from the Marines who belong to the Navy will come and support the army. Sometimes they hit the river. They say, no, we need Navy boats. So Navy sailors will come with their boats and launch. Or they need divers.
Yes.
So our Navy divers, they are combat divers. They will come and dive. Integrated system.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes the army wants to be ferried strategically, where we are inserting the operators, the special forces, through a submarine. Then the Navy will come to clandestine, because a submarine is a strategic weapon. It's silent. It can be unseen. It's like a crocodile.
Yes.
Once it dives, one cannot
undetectable.
See. Undetectable.
Yes, sir.
Not easy to detect unless you have sonar, specialized equipment to be able to detect.
And radars and all of those
radars
things.
And that.
Yes.
So submarine can submerge and then it's unseen. Submerge and do a surprise submerge or a match. So all these things, the integrated system, it shows you our we call it jointness, joint operations. Now, having said that, we are now having a new department. In fact, it's not new. It's a concept. A chief that is dedicated for operations, for integration.
Oh, wow.
We call him Chief Joint Operation. He's a 3-star general. He's got his staff and planners and staff officers. They are there to make sure that they ensure that the Navy element is commemorated when we are fighting a war. They normally analyze the war to say, hey, this battle, we need a lot of Marines, or we need a lot of land forces, or need air support. Because a war is a very, I would say, integrated system. You know, in war, you need a helicopter to cover the soldiers on the ground. And so soldiers might need to say, no, we are hitting a river situation, so Navy must come and assist us. So when we are waging a war, there's all these factors that
these elements that contribute.
But our force have a staff element that we belong to Chief Joint Operation. He's the one that when services have prepared and trained their forces, he is the one that's responsible for waging a war. He is the master of war. He will be given all the resources, whether it's a helicopter. If his plans are saying, I need a attack Gripen to fly and do 5 sorties to neutralize the enemy and back. Or I need
a vessel here.
I need a vessel, yeah. because I want to enter clandestinely via another angle because I'm fighting a nation that has got a navy. Then he deploys us.
It sounds so interesting, and I can't wait for you to bring, all of the people.
So all
that you
these
mentioned.
people will be brought here so that they can give you an insight in their area of specialization. We saw in Renshaw that we had engineers, we had signalers, we had intelligence officers, we had everything that you've had. In fact, we are a community. That's why in many countries the military is able to run the country.
I mean, because you guys have so many elements that form part of society.
We can replace governments.
Definitely.
We can run government. There's many countries that are currently now, in West Africa, in Sahel region. Mali is a military-run country. Burkina Faso.
I mean, there's this new president who is a military man.
Ibrahim Traore.
Yes.
In Burkina Faso, he follows the likes of Thomas Sankara.
Oh, the teachings of Thomas Sankara.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Thomas Sankara actually is a one that inspired so many people because he was a military man, a captain, lower rank than me, very, very low. Not even a senior officer, junior officer. And Thomas is now inspired the new Ibrahim Traore.
Yeah.
Ibrahim is a sensational president. He reminds us of the teachings of Thomas Sankara, and he brings Sankarism ideology into a modern perspective.
Wow.
He's talking where governments have to do an introspection how they govern their people. So militaries generally can run governments. We had many states that were military run for a long time and successfully so. Muammar Gaddafi was a colonel when he took over and ran a successful Libya. And although the West didn't understand the type of government he was running, but he ran a successful military government system that benefited its people. Nigeria, you name it. There's so many classic, if you look at our history, that where the military really excelled in delivering the service to the people. I'm not propagating or promoting military governments.
I mean, yes.
But I'm talking as a military man from how efficient is the military in running. But what we are saying, based on our constitution as South Africa, that it is not, democracy must thrive. Military is there for a purpose to defend war, not to run governments. So because we are not trained to run governments, we are trained to maintain our sovereignty and freedom of our people to ensure that there's no enemy.
Look, man, this is interesting, and I promise if it were up to me, we would not finish. We would not finish, I promise you. And I find it very interesting because I myself, my brother and I are lovers of history.
Yes.
When you mention Stalinism and Leninism, it sparks the knowledge that we got back in high school.
Yes.
Of the doctrines that were established in the U.S., segregation, BCM, and all of these things. There's a whole lot, and I love history. I love history a lot. So
history teaches us a lot.
Absolutely.
In the military history, we have military history as well that teaches the lessons of war. And when we study number of battles, starting for our own fathers, when we study the battles of Ushaka, what was his wisdom and his ideology in terms of achieving his military strategy. We study your Napoleon Bonaparte, what was their main aim, and we study so many great military leaders.
I mean, things like the Russian Revolution.
Even Nabo Ntate Mushweshwe, King Mushweshwe, King Sopuzawan. There's many lessons that we're going to My favorite in the South African context is King Sikukune.
Oh, wow.
He's one of my undefeated heroes that we have ever lived. And he lived a life that was so simple, but he was a brilliant military strategist. He took about many tribes and nations. He defeated the whites. He defeated all the tribes that would attack him. But as a military strategist, he could forge his survival up until he was, overwhelmed, and he used many means to protect the Pedi nation. And for me, on a personal level, he's my hero.
I love that.
And obviously, the great Shaka Sanzanga Corner remains a legend.
One of the best,
in terms
man.
of the because it's the vision that we must have actually to be a great leader, particularly now if you are coming with a military strategy. So from that perspective, we say that it is important that our people must learn to respect the military in its entirety, but there's also a responsibility that as a democracy like us, a hegemon in the South, we have to maintain a well-funded military that is able to meet the requirements as tasked by the people of the nation, meaning South Africans have to fund us to be able to meet all their dreams and their objectives and their taskings that we are giving to them. If they want us in military diplomatic role where we enforce peace, equip us adequately. When you want us to be equipped in a role where we support the police, equip us adequately, where you want us to play a meaningful role in assisting with natural disasters such as the flood, give us equipment to be able to deliver that service. So there's a whole lot of things that we require South Africans to take note, particularly in the areas of funding. But I'm so proud to say yesterday we saw a change in government tone where they're starting to fund. But the question will be, is it really adequate? Because we need a lot. There's still a lot, and there have been challenges over the years over our capabilities. Some of them, they need to be rejuvenated. They need to be modernized. Absolutely. We need new planes. Because South Africa is so vast. Some of the mandate that we have is to protect our borders. But how do we protect our borders when we don't have a fence? When we don't have equipment to patrol? When, soldiers day and night...
Outdated equipment.
Yes, soldiers can stand with their gun, but if they are numbered by illegal immigrants, what can they do? We have porous borders, and unfortunately, these illegal immigrants, some of them have nefarious intentions where they murder our people, they do criminality. I'm not saying that we are urging those who want to live with South Africans to come through the correct borders, through appropriate documentation process. That is the way to go. South Africa is a land of the free. We are same as America.
Home of the brave.
We are home of the brave. We are saying we can strive here, no matter which nationality you come from, as long you come through the right channels, through the right borders, but not through illegal means. Soldiers will, if you are lucky or unlucky, you'll meet our brothers doing
who
duty.
Are ready there.
And 24, and not sleeping, mandate doing their job as required of being a soldier, and entrusted with that responsibility by a South African. South African, they must be able to sleep at peace, knowing that nothing will come that will be invading of their property, their land, their sovereignty as a nation.
Yes,
so that is what we stand for.
I love it. I love it. In closure, let me get from you, if you can recall a time where you really had to make a tough call under extreme measures, in the sense that, you guys operate at high stakes environment where at a split second decision making is required, and the decision that you make in that split second can either result in failure or in success. Has there ever been a time where you had to make such a decision under immense pressure?
On a personal level.
Yes, sir. And how did you handle it?
Yes, look, I remember when I was still in the military police, I was off duty. Then there was an incident of a great fires. In Western Cape battles in winter season like this. We have lots of wind, particularly in the tip of Cape Town itself.
Oh, wow.
If you know Cape Point in
Yes.
Samstown,
Yes.
that's where Samstown, our strategic bases, one of our main bases and
Is
navies
there.
there. So we battles with wildfires, sporadic wildfires that
wow.
normally arrive. Sometimes because of negligence, people do bushfires,
Yes.
and it causes a lot of. So we had such incident one of those days, and was off duty, and my friend said, "Hey, we just finished our duty as a military policeman. We were doing 24-hour, and our shift was over.
Okay.
I had just took a nap, and then he woke me up to say, hey, there's a call, distress call that we are required at the police station. Guess what? Our police station was on fire.
Wow.
These were advancing to the building site. Most of the cars had been engulfed with fire. So me and my friend were the last man standing.
Wow.
And guess what? We actually saved the building. We actually saved in a split-second decision, because one of the cars that was going to roll over was going to catch the flower and the building was going to explode.
Wow.
Me took a split-second decision to roll the car over backwards so that it can roll over the hill. And over our act, we actually rolled that car and we saved the building, because if the car was still close to that building as it was positioned,
would have caught
fire. The building would have caught, the whole police station would have been on fire.
It sounds like it's
heroism
so intense,
is something
man.
that we do, but we don't brag about.
Absolutely.
So it comes as a natural phenomenon.
Yeah. It's a natural instinct that you guys are trained to have.
Yes.
Sheesh, man.
Yeah.
I promise you, like I mentioned, Admiral, I would love to spend time with you, and we wouldn't finish if it were up to me. But
There's
you know
so
what
many stories to tell.
There is, and there's so many questions, because you know what the thing is, as civilians in society,
Yes.
we are propagated, or we are fueled with so much information, misinformation actually, and miseducation and false knowledge, where the narrative is changed or made to suit people's own ideals and agendas.
Especially in the day and age of digital communication.
Absolutely.
We have social media this side. So there's really an information overload.
Absolutely.
Particularly in the new generations. In my time, we had Tiki Box, no cell phones. So if you want to see your girlfriend, you had to write letters, especially
Yes.
I mean, you write letters and the post will arrive 3 weeks. And the relationship was good because people were looking for it. Now we have WhatsApp and all that.
Communication is instant,
It's
man.
instant.
Yeah.
And it's live. Like now we are live.
Yes.
So to everybody that is watching this show, and the listeners and the viewers, you name it, I'm looking forward to more engagement.
Absolutely.
And, I think this is a beginning of
many things. Absolutely.
Yes.
We can't wait for you to come back, and we really appreciate you taking the time.
I so wish that I could spend more time, but time is a time.
Time flies when you're having fun. Absolutely, time flies.
Yes.
And these conversations and these engagements are aimed at equipping people with the necessary information, the correct knowledge, and debunking all of these misconceptions and false narratives that are out there in the society. Giving people
and
the
fake
proper
news,
absolutely.
Fake news. Remember when I'm sure through your producer there will be an episode where we speak about DRC, where we speak about. But I don't want to be me that is speaking. I will be bringing the people that were there. They would explain their experience. And I think that is the story, how we must tell the story of the SANDF, to bring the real soldiers, the real me. And it's been a pleasure for me to be here. Man. And I'm looking forward for more interaction.
I promise we can't wait.
Yes.
We can't wait. Like Admiral Tshabalala is saying, this is going to be an ongoing conversation. It does not end here. And we would absolutely love your interaction, your communication through our social media platforms using the hashtag Vooka Breakfast Show. Admiral is not the last time that he comes here. He's going to bring people, like he mentioned, and we can't wait to get so much information and knowledge and learn and grow and evolve as people, you know,
Yes.
so that there's perhaps a young boy out there like yourself, a 15, 16-year-old, who might be sparked by this engagement
Yes,
to
he's
want to
listening
go.
to me. Ukuthi nangu Baba Tshabalala.
Uqale kanje
He
from
made it.
Soweto la eDlamini.
Yes, he
Do you know
never
what I'm
saw
trying to
the
say?
sea.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
no.
we can't wait. We can't wait. And
This is a very important journey for me because it's part of me giving back in a way to the community because, you know, we buried one of my, I would say, protege. She was a captain. She had joined the Navy in 98 after seeing me wearing that uniform. Remember
Yes,
the
njengoba
first time
bowusho, yes.
when I came back from
Yes.
my pass.
Yes.
So she then rose to the ranks. She became an officer of a level of a captain, which is equivalent to, she was a woman of bravery, and she was a combat officer, meaning she could drive a warship. And she was now in charge of operations, naval operations. That's a huge responsibility. Captain Hlajwayo. And so this episode is dedicated to Kosi Hlajwayo from Dlamini 2, my former protege, and rest in peace.
I love it. Absolutely. And we can't wait for you to come back, Admiral. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. You know, there's a few standout engagements and conversations that I've had here as part of my journey at the Vooka Breakfast Show. And this is absolutely a highlight for me. This is absolutely a highlight. And so with that being said, do keep engaging with us, like I said, across all our social media platforms using the hashtag Vooka Breakfast Show. And of course, you can also engage with us and, share your thoughts and opinions with regards to the conversation we just had with Admiral Tshabalala on WhatsApp using the number 060-493-3226. That's 060-493-3226. Comment, like, subscribe. Do the things that are necessary to be done so that you and I can share our thoughts, our opinions, and everything else in between. With that being said, we're looking forward to the next time when Admiral can join us right here in studio. But before then, you and I can see each other next time. Cool stuff. I'll see you later.